for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk.
You're listening to Reignite, a podcast that constantly challenges my sense of morality. I'm Frankie.
And I am at AK Stormageddon.
Another day, another friend needs our help. Meryl reveals to us why she left her clan, a dark mirror that her people associate with evil due to the perceived role it played in the death of one of their people. Meryl, convinced that the mirror holds the key to restoring a piece of elven history, is determined to repair it using blood magic. The mirror is incomplete, though, and she needs a relic from her people to finish it, a relic that she must ask the Keeper for. Afraid of her mother figure, Meryl asks us to accompany her on the quest. Along the way, Meryl receives a cold shoulder from everyone in her clan, due to her work with demons and blood magic. This fear leads to the death of an innocent hunter, and we must decide whether or not to support Meryl's mission.
Yeah, this is one of the quests that I remembered the gist of, but all the details completely fell out of my brain until I played it. So it was fun to kind of remember where this goes. Also, I'll say it again when we get to it, but that hunter is voiced by the one and only Yuri Lowenthal, who I recognized as he was screaming in fear, and I was like, oh, I know that voice.
This was kind of a hard mission for me in terms of morality. Mm-hmm. Because, like, I have my point of view regarding blood magic.
Right.
I think that the people who turn to blood magic do so because they have no other choice.
Right.
I don't think that the people who use blood magic are inherently evil, but I do think that blood magic is akin to, like, assault weapons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, no one needs an assault rifle.
Right.
And that's my opinion. So to me, I feel like blood magic is one of those things, like, you don't really need to use it. That's in my opinion. And it definitely kind of colors how I view people. Like, if somebody says to me, like, I have an assault rifle, that tells me, like, something about you. Whether or not what it tells me is accurate, it gives me an impression.
Right.
So that's kind of how I equate blood magic.
Which is interesting, and I consider, and like, yes, I agree. I think no civilian needs an assault rifle, full stop. That's how we feel, and that's that. But it's funny because I don't equate blood magic to a weapon, although it is. I always equated it to like a belief system or a structure of upbringing almost, or perspective. And I guess that's only because, like, broadly blood magic mages are painted as all evil, even if you don't know them. Obviously, Meryl is not evil generally, as far as we can tell.
You know.
Right.
Dun, dun, dun.
Also, having the meta knowledge of what the Illuvians are for, and how they were used, and who they were used on, and who that person is, and what that person has done. Like, we have a lot of meta knowledge going into this, especially fresh off of Veilguard, that also kind of painted the perspective that none of them are right, kind of all of them are wrong.
Yeah, I really, like, pushed aside the Illuvian knowledge that we have and try to go from the perspective of a person who has never seen this before.
Right, correct. Which is what we have to do.
I really distanced myself from that lore.
I did as well, but I think it's worth mentioning that, like, we as players have knowledge that Hawk does not, and that could also influence your playthrough. Right, correct. We, having played all the games, know more about the Elven people than probably any character in this game. Just because, just because of the lore dump, especially in the Veilguard, which we won't get into, because spoilers. But yeah, so, I don't know. I think that I believe in people, so it's hard for me to distrust Meryl in a lot of these moments, and we'll get to more details in a minute, because I feel like I know Meryl, and, like, it's cheesy, but it's like, well, this thing's bad. But if Meryl's using it, Meryl knows what she's doing. But part of the problem is also this mission is designed to let us know whether we think Meryl knows what she's doing or not, because we don't really know up until this point.
Also, I think it's really important for us to acknowledge that just because we're friends with someone and we know them very well doesn't always mean that they know what they're doing when
Correct.
They use something that we might consider to be dangerous. Like, I don't know. I don't think that I could, in good conscience, give any of my friends just like carte blanche to work with something dangerous without at least, having a conversation about it.
Absolutely.
Let's get into it.
Yes.
Okay, so we start from Meryl's house because we always have to start in our companion's home in order to kick things off. And Meryl shows us the Illuvian, which, as Hawk, it's a creepy mirror with no reflection.
Yeah, that's broken.
Yes. We find out that it is tied to the Dalish elf origin story of Dragon Age Origins.
Yep.
Which is meta knowledge. I only remember because I have played the Dalish elf origin story a couple of times, so I do remember Tamlin and that Meryl was the keeper of the Dalish Brazilian Forest clan.
Yeah.
So Meryl wanted to find Tamlin and thought that this mirror was the key to doing so, since it was found where Tamlin disappeared. But through the years, she has accepted that he's gone. However, she is now convinced that it's going to help her people restore their history and heritage. One quote that was said is, "Our ancestors meant it to be forgotten," which I believe is something that Marithari had said to Meryl about it. And Meryl's answer to that is, it's a keeper's place to remember even the dangerous things. And I agree with her that the point of history and keeping track of history and being a historian is to accurately depict what happened without bias.
Right.
Well, not without empathy.
Right.
I think empathy is important in that. But to be truthful in what happened. And I think her quest for restoring Elven history is very admirable. I think it's something that I personally support. But I do think that maybe there are some things that should be forgotten. Like, for example, information on a dangerous weapon. Like, do we really need to have that information stored somewhere where someone morally ambiguous can access it and do what they want with it?
Right. It's the old choice in like I think about the Moradin choice in the second Mass Effect game. Do you save the thing that was acquired through dubious means that could help the people regain their ability to be fertile, or do you destroy it because of how it was gotten and what might happen if it was like taken into the wrong hands or whatever, right? Like morality of how the thing is acquired, morality around the thing itself, and the morality of the decision you make, all of them requiring a lot of thought and discussion. None of that kind of stuff comes easy.
Yeah. And also, it kind of reminds me of in Eternal Strands, where Lane has this piece of information, and to just release it into the world could cause chaos and panic and could hurt people more than it could help.
Right.
So the decision is, do we just do that because we want to stand by our mission statement of transparency, or do we temper that truth and make it more manageable?
Right.
So I think these are the questions that we're kind of dealing with as we're going about this mission. It's just, I don't know. It's not like Meryl can conduct experiments in a what's the word for in like a safe room, you know?
Right.
It's not like she can just kind of type something on a computer and like run algorithms. This is something that's going to have real world consequences if she fixes it.
Right.
So I don't remember if we know if the mirror actually had something to do with Tamlin's disappearance or if it was just there.
I believe they speculate that it does, but I don't think we know for a fact.
It's not definitive.
Right.
But again, in a world where anything can harbor a demon, it does seem kind of dangerous to take something on like this alone.
Right.
And also in a populated area like the alienage.
Right.
Like, what if repairing it does unleash a demon? It's not just Meryl who's going to pay the price. Like, there are people all around.
Right. Which is why I think regardless, it's important that Hawke is the kind of character that we are both playing, inserts themselves to help, mostly, if anything, to, like, be there if something goes wrong.
Yeah. So Meryl claims that she has fixed it, or tried to, with blood magic, and that it won't hurt anyone. And that she has it under control. But it's unfinished. She needs a special tool that I'm not going to repeat because there's a lot of vowels and some apostrophes in there. And the only way to get it is to ask the Keeper for it. And the way that she talks about Marethari was very, very familiar to me because it is how I would have talked about my own mother when I was a teenager or in my early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, because she's intimidated by Marethari. She talks about like how Marethari has this look that like cuts you to pieces,
right? And
you just can't talk to her,
right? Which is a similar relationship I had when I was younger with my mother as well. I think there's this fear. There can be this fear of the parent who puts their foot down, right? And often my mother was the parent who did that. And there's a lot of that kind of relationship here. I mean, it's clear that Marethari, even if not for sure not her blood mother, is definitely in this matriarchal position, at least to Meryl, who seems to have been troubled and dabbling with this kind of stuff for a long time.
Both of my parents were really spiteful. So like I had that anxiety about both of them of like if I had ever done something wrong, it was difficult to tell them because, you know, they were so reactionary if they ever like caught me doing something that they didn't approve of. Like they never made me feel safe to talk to them. So I can relate to Meryl's apprehension here.
Yeah. Whereas I grew up with kind of the classic good cop, bad cop kind of like feeling. Like I felt like my dad was more patient and more lenient. My mother was quicker to anger, quicker to react. And so often when I was nervous about talking to one of them, I would talk to the other, which didn't always work, but was where my psychology was, at least while growing up.
I get it. But we agreed to help Meryl because that's what friends do. So it's off to Sundermount.
Who did you take with you?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Who did I take with me? Oh, I took Isabella, Anders, and Meryl.
I took Anders, Meryl, and Aveline.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was fun.
I mean, truthfully, Aveline didn't have much to say. It was mostly Anders who had a lot to say.
Yeah, because Anders has very strong feelings about blood magic.
Right.
Which makes sense due to the role that it plays in the subjugation of mages.
Right.
So off to Sundermount, where before we can even approach the Dalish encampment, we encounter a face-off occurring between a group of Templars and a group of Dalish hunters.
Yeah.
You had this happen, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the Templars are demanding that the Dalish give Fainriel to them. Fainriel, of course, being the young half-elf that we helped, who had the trouble with his magic and with sleeping.
Right.
And we sent him to the Dalish to learn to get his magic under control. I think we both did that, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So the Templars are demanding Fainrail be returned to them. The Dalish are refusing for multiple reasons, because first of all, fuck you, you're a human. How dare you come into our territory and make demands of us? But also, you think we're going to give you one of our people?
Yeah.
So the Templar specifically says that she wants to bring Fainrail to the gallows, and then she confirms that she tortured a young hunter to get information out of him about if Fainrail was with the Dalish. And
yeah.
And multiple times the Dalish are like, walk away, Hawk. You do not want to be here.
Yeah.
What did you do?
I walked away because I didn't even get the conversation stuff. Like, I saw the back and forth, but then I kept moving to the town. I didn't know that you could actually interact with the conversation.
Oh my god. Okay. So I interacted with the conversation. It might still be happening if you go back to Sundermount.
That's what I'm wondering. Because, yeah, I saw it happening and I moved through, because typically when you move through something like that, it pulls you in.
It'll just cutscene, yeah.
Right. And it didn't. So I went, I guess I can't talk to them, and kept working on the mission. And so, yeah.
I went straight towards them. I think you have to actually head directly into their
That's
group.
my guess. So
I skirted around.
I mean, I kind of walked off to the side. Yeah, I walked around them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you head straight for the group, then it pulls you in.
Got it.
Would you rather I hold off talking about this?
No, we might as well talk about it now.
No. Okay, so the Templar woman who is leading the charge, she admits that she tortured a boy with fire. And when the Dalish hunters are like, walk away, otherwise you're gonna get involved in some fighting, I was like, no, I stand with you guys. I'm with you. I'm gonna beat the shit out of these people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to have done this mission to know that I would never side with the Templars in almost any situation ever, period, full stop.
Yeah, basically your options are to walk away, side with the Templars, or side with the Dalish. You can not fight.
Yeah.
So, but I was so angry about them torturing an innocent person that I was like, nope, we're gonna throw some hands. How can I walk away?
Yeah.
Oh God, it made me so angry. So I'm properly riled up at this point.
Yeah.
Because I'm I'm gonna fucking fight a bunch of Templars. God damn it! I'm so angry. So with that energy, we approach Marethari.
Yeah, and so we have a conversation with Marethari. She, of course, immediately asks, have you changed your ways? Have you learned a new way to be? And Meryl, and it's funny too, Meryl does the kind of classic, timid child thing of, trying to speak and then kind of stumbling and then looking at you and you giving, an affirming nod, and then her, actually saying what she wants. And basically this boils down to Marethari isn't stoked to give this up, but also understands that kind of will never stop Meryl from doing what she's doing, but will discourage it every step of the way.
Right.
But basically it's a tit for tat. It's if I'm going to give you this relic, first you need to do something for me.
Right. So it's not something that Marethari imposes. It's actually something that Meryl invokes, because Meryl wants to make sure that she can ask for this, and no matter what, as long as she does what she's tasked with, she can get it, because that is bound in their culture. And if Marethari refuses, then she's going against Dalish culture. So she's kind of trying to trap Marethari in her own belief system.
Right.
Marethari says, I'm glad to know I can still disapprove, which is such a mom phrase.
Yes, correct.
And it triggered me a little, because that's some shit my mom would say.
Yeah, it's definitely very much I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed kind of thing.
It's not even that. It's there's such passive aggression in it. And it's good to know you still care about my feelings.
Right. It's my issues with Marethari here, and why I'm often inclined to side with Meryl, is Meryl is never not honest. Double negatives, tricky. Meryl is always honest. Meryl, even when Meryl disagrees with the Marithari, she's explaining why. She's honest. She's open. She just wants to have a conversation with the Marithari, whereas the Marithari is very much, well, this goes against the ways. I have to stop you.
You keep saying the Marithari. Her name is just
Name is Marithari, yeah. Sorry.
She's the keeper.
The keeper, Marithari.
Her name is Marithari.
She keeps disagreeing. Even though she disagrees with Marithari, she's open to conversation, but Marithari is very fixed in her ways. Very much like, there is only one right answer here. This is what we believe. What you're doing is wrong, full stop, and won't have a conversation about it, which is why, even though we're dealing with blood magic here, which is almost always bad, I bristle at Marithari more because she's very much like, I believe this, my beliefs say this, so I don't want to entertain any of that, full stop.
Yeah, I am with you. I also bristled here. For me, there was this kind of link to like a queer child just trying to get support from a parent and like not getting it. And that's why I was like, ugh. I was like, I got you, girl.
Yeah, but we find out from Marithari that there's a creature or monster basically killing hunters as they explore an area that was normally where it was docile. Like it was still a vicious creature that would attack if you attacked it, but usually kept to its own place, but for whatever reason now is territorial and rampant. I can't remember the name of what the creature is. The Vartarel. And so she asks you to deal with that.
I think it's Vartarel. Whatever.
It's elven names. Hard to
It's a weird wooden spider thing.
Yeah. And so she asks you to deal with it. If you do, then she will give you the relic as you ask.
Yes. And as we walk away, she says, may the dread wolf never catch your scent, which is such a good well wish because I don't want that fucking egghead on my trail.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is where the meta knowledge kind of starts to compound and I go, oh yeah, that stuff is important even here. I'm very interested to get to the Veilguard after replaying all these games and discussing them in depth like this because we definitely got to some conclusions in 3 and Andromeda that I was like, oh, well, that makes more sense now having really dug deep into what all of this shit means. Yeah, and so I guess there's going to be a lot of that too here.
I think literary criticism or just analytical criticism in general is really falling off in our education system. So people aren't doing that as much, but I think it adds such a layer of understanding to the things that you enjoy. And I'm not saying that you have to analyze everything you love to death. You could just love something to love it. But if you're really interested and intrigued about something, I think it's worth it to take the time to really dig into it because then you'll be surprised about what you learn and you'll look at things differently. And I think that's a really important part about being human and engaging with art. And video games are art.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand, Frankie. Are you saying that media literacy is at an all-time low and maybe people aren't really doing anything but a superficial cursory look at most media and not really engaging in, say, remaking an entire Wizard series, casting young children and letting their parents get away with it because it's not the children's fault. They just want to work. Anyway.
I'm at an all-time low.
Yeah. Anyway, if you attack those poor kids, you are terrible.
Leave the children alone.
It's not their fault. Those parents had to say yes to letting them get cast on this bad show by a transphobic person. Anyway,
leave the kids alone. Can I tell you, this is completely unrelated to our entire podcast, but I would like my point of view out there in the world. I would so much rather watch a show that is about high schoolers where full-ass adults play the teenagers than for teenagers and children to be exposed to the shit show that is, like, the show business.
Either
improve conditions or just don't cast them.
I mean, yes, the former is the real point here, but the latter is where I understand you're going.
If you're not going to improve conditions, then stop casting children.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a bigger systemic problem. A bigger systemic problem that is outside of even that part of the business. Anyway, never mind. We're not getting into capitalism stuff here. Like, it's bad. It's bad out here.
I want you to know that my next big note is in all caps, fuck you, Tolkien. Because all we do through this entire cave is just fight spiders, and they startled me every time.
Same. They just kind of drop down behind you. Yeah, it's the worst.
They just appear, and I'm like, why?
Yeah, it's bad. It's
Come
terrible.
Come up with another creature for me to fight.
Yeah, giant spiders, though not created by Tolkien, definitely perpetuated their attachment to fantasy.
Tolkien really kicked it off because he was bitten by a spider in South America. No, South Africa. Sorry.
Yeah.
One day we will have my friend Nikki on this podcast who will just talk about Tolkien's influence on spiders in fantasy.
Okay. All right. We'll have to have a large trigger warning on that episode.
Yes. I'm actually probably going to do a presentation about this just for my own.
Just for your own benefit?
Yes.
If you ever come back to the States.
It's all his fault.
If you ever come.
Why?
If you ever come back to the States, we can pitch a PAX panel about spiders in games and why it's all Tolkien's fault.
Yes.
Yes. In which every arachnophobe will avoid us with a 10-mile radius.
I might fine. Blur pictures of spiders on.
So they don't have to see them.
Presentation, yes. I'll just do a really pixelated spider, or I'll censor them, put a big censor bar over them.
That might actually be really good.
I think that would be funny. Anyway, speaking of spiders, the Varterel, or Varterel, however it's pronounced, is a spider-like creature, so I guess it's thematic. Whatever. I'm still angry about it.
Yeah. The cave layout blows, as it always does. The boss fight is fine. It's nothing really special.
Yeah, he jumps around a lot. We find out that the Varterel usually lets the Dalish come and go as they please so they can recover artifacts. So attacking anyone in the vicinity is really abnormal behavior for it. I need to see if we picked up any lore about the Varterel.
It's fine. We're never gonna get it right. It's fine. If you're still
get it right. Tagline for our podcast.
I was gonna say, if you're still listening to this podcast and get mad every time we mispronounce something, why are you here? Because it's never gonna stop.
Never gonna get it right should be the name of this podcast. Anyway,
but before we keep talking about the Varterel fight, though,
are you going to complain about the skeletons that you see everywhere?
No, we should talk about Paul because we can counter Paul before we fight him. So Paul,
you are correct,
is a Dalish elf who is a hunter who frequents the caves for the reasons that they do to get supplies. And the minute he sees Merrill, acts like he's seen a ghost, like fear-stricken, screaming for mercy, running like he's encountered a demon, basically.
Yeah.
And it really puts Merrill off because Merrill's memory of encounters with Paul are pleasant, like they were friends, like he knew him. She knew him at one point. They were either colleagues, if not friends. And his reaction was so visceral that it reminded me that Yuri Lowenthal is playing this character. But like he gets so visceral and like just freaks out and runs towards the Varterel, which then kills him.
As we progress through the cave, there is kind of a side mission that's happening where we find the bodies of hunters who have been killed by the Varterel, and we collect their clan amulets so we can return them to Marethari. And that's how we run into Paul. And Paul apparently used to live in the Alienage, so he's still kind of new to the Dalish. Yeah. Like, even as we approach him, he starts to say the Andrastian phrase, praise Andraste, but he remembers himself.
Yeah.
And he switches over to praise the creators or thank the creators. And I think that kind of colors his reaction a bit, because he did not grow up with Meryl. He just knew her while she was in the Alienage. He has not known her all of his life, all of each other's lives.
Right.
And also, I think when an impression that we get from the Dalish, except from Meryl, is that they are very tough people.
Right.
Like, they've been through a lot of shit, and they have to put up with a lot of shit. So they kind of put off this air of, like, absolutely do not fuck with me.
Yes.
Like, every time we speak to hunters, they're like, we will kill you. Like, we will not hesitate. You're human and we hate you.
Yeah.
which, valid given what humans have done to elves.
Right.
But Paul, I think, grew up in a society where he was so beaten down. He has escaped to a society where he has the freedom to become more confident. But I don't think that confidence has really taken, given how he reacts to Meryl.
Right. And I do think there is also some of Meryl's history that's coloring that as well, and just what he knows of her. We don't find out Paul died until after the Varterol fight. But Paul runs off towards the Varterol, cave, habitat. And Meryl yells for him, no, come back. She knows he's going to die if he runs straight into that. And insists that we hurry to hopefully be able to help him. But we are, unfortunately, too late.
As always. And definitely not because I doubled back to make sure I didn't miss any treasure.
No, that would never happen.
That would never do happen. So we fight the Varterol, which, it's nothing special. He jumps around a bunch.
Yep.
Smack him a lot with my daggers. My dog.
I mean, I have my dog summoned. I have 3 mages and my tanky lady. So, he didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, I had my dog summoned, and it was me and Isabella just be like, step, 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 step. And then Anders and Meryl just be like, whack, whack, whack.
We should have you do reenactments of every battle in this game.
Yes. My Foley work is excellent.
Yes, it's incredible. Flawless, even.
Annoyingly, after the Varterol fight, after we discover that Paul is dead and Meryl mourns his loss, and she's so deeply upset, she doesn't understand why this happened. She doesn't know what made him look at her like that.
Yeah.
Because as far as she knows, the only thing that people should be upset about when it comes to her is the fact that she left.
Right. And she views herself as such a kind person, though she is dabbling, which she is, but though dabbling in blood magic is coloring what people see in her, even if she has gone out of her way to be kind and supportive and do what's best for the clan, people don't see past the one thing that they know her for.
Right. So after the morning, we have to walk all the way back.
So dumb.
I'm so upset about.
Some caves in this game have an exit right near the final part of the mission, and other caves make you wander through the entire cave back to the entrance to leave. I don't know why.
Well, this time it was so we could fight all those skeletons that were on the floor as we were progressing through the cave. I was so annoyed. Just why? Why? I defeated the big boss. Just let me leave.
Yeah, it's dumb.
And I feel like part of it is so you can hear some party banter on your way back. Like Meryl says, why did he run?
Right.
And for me, Isabella comforts her. And she gets very soft with her. And she says, don't beat yourself up about it. And she calls her kitten. And it's a very sweet, sisterly moment, which I find interesting because Isabella is so horny for everyone all the time.
Yeah.
But Meryl brings out something very not mothering, I wouldn't say, but very protective from Isabella.
Which is also funny considering the meta knowledge we have of certain things later on in the game. It's just Isabella's history is clouded. And so to see this kind of very nurturing moment goes, she's capable of that, which is not a thing I would have thought before. But yeah, I had Anders absolutely do the opposite. Just be like, maybe it's because you're terrible and summon demons. And I'm like, dude, I get that you don't like blood magic, but
this is not the moment.
No, he was just not nice. He was not nice this whole mission. He was just very much well, maybe if you didn't dabble in blood magic, this stuff wouldn't happen to you. And it's Anders, I get it. You hate it. I hate it too. I am also a mage, but maybe my guy, now is not the time.
Yeah. So we approach Marethari.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I write this?
Why did you write what?
My catchphrase. Hubris, more like, let's do this. And then I wrote, thank you, Zach Reno, for my catchphrase. I don't know why I wrote that, but I did. So we approach Marithari and we tell her that no more people will be lost. We return the amulets, and Meryl recaps what happened to Paul. And Marithari says that many of the clan fear that she'll bring back corruption or worse from the mirror. And Marithari is the one that warned them to stay away from Meryl. And this feels so toxic and so like, how dare you turn away from our way of life and seek out something new? Like, even if I disagree with Meryl's use of blood magic, like, I find this really upsetting.
This is the part that really fortified my decision to support Meryl. It just feels very toxic. Now, we have knowledge, like, there's a lot of reading that you can do in the first game and this game about the corruption. You and I, on a meta level, know even more about it. But, like, in this moment, as Hawk, even as a mage, I know, as a human mage, I know less than probably most. All I see is a motherly figure putting down seemingly their child for walking a different path. Now, that different path does involve blood magic, but also Meryl is spoken to with a disdain here that doesn't feel valid based on her actions.
Yeah, this discourse makes me incredibly upset, no matter how uncomfortable I am with blood magic. I'm just like, Marithari, you're not helping. If you want me on your side, this is not how to do it.
Correct. And I'm with you there.
But Marithari gives Hawk the relic to decide what to do with it. And, like, I support where Meryl is coming from, but also I feel like what use is pursuing this understanding if it can endanger your people just as much as uplifts it.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately I give her the relic, but I am cautious. But also, this plays into a part of my personality where it's like, well, bad things could happen, but I'm here and I'll protect you, like, which is not helpful always. But, like, the logic here is, like, I want to support my friend. I have a bad feeling about this, but I also would rather be there. It's one of those, well, you're going to do this no matter what I do. So at least if I'm there, I can try and help. Yeah, I give her the relic.
So I kind of start off being like, I don't know if this is a good idea. And I kind of, like, the game frames it as agreeing with Marithari. Yeah. But then Meryl, like, says to you, like, look, I know what I'm doing. Just give me the relic. Like, just don't do this to me.
Yeah.
And because she pushes, I give it to her. I think if she didn't push, I think if she had just, like, gone straight to anger and, like, taken me at face value,
yeah,
I would have left it there and been like, I don't think I can give this to you in, like, good conscience. But because she pushed, I decided to give it to her because she stood up for herself and, like,
right.
You know, you are an adult. You know what you say that you know what you're doing, and, you know, I can't really stand in your way. I'm not your mother.
Right.
Like, you're going to do what you're going to do. And I have to kind of sit by and let it happen, which I don't love, but hey.
Well, for me, it comes from this place, and the reason I ultimately agreed more easily is also you cannot teach people how to learn lessons if they don't make those mistakes, right? Like, you can warn, you can coddle, you can support, you can help, you can do all these different things for the people you care about, but there are some lessons that they have to learn themselves. And if you try and protect them from learning those lessons, they will never learn them. Yeah. And I think there is a part of that with this, right? While you did equate blood magic to a weapon, which I totally get, I equate blood magic to, like, I don't know, drugs, booze, kind of poor choices.
Okay, like an addiction.
Correct. And I think I
can see that as well.
And, like, for me, it's one of those, like, if people have a serious problem where they're hurting themselves, then you have to make a decision. But if it's a casual use that results in poor choices, like getting sick or not feeling well or whatever, hungover, blah, blah, blah. Like, we'll use that alcohol as an example, which is also a very serious problem, but has levels, at least in partying teenagers. You can't, like, no one's going to learn you're never going to learn what your limit is if you don't hit it. And I think there's a level of, I need to let Meryl figure this out and just be here for her. But that said, it's still a fine line to walk, right? Because it's hard to watch those you care about hurt themselves. And like addiction is a tricky thing. And I don't want to oversimplify this because it's truly a huge problem and not easy to deal with. And like, it's one of those things where I think you make the choice in the moment. Ultimately, if you want to support your friend, that could mean standing by them while they make this choice and trying to help them, or interfering. I don't think one is the right answer. I just chose to be by their side and hopefully support them if things go wrong.
I mean, there's a reason interventions are a thing. It's because sometimes in order to protect the people we love, we have to intervene on their behalf and let them know that they might not see it, but they do have a problem.
Right.
And I do think that sometimes interventions can be done to control people. But I do think that for the most part, it comes from a place of, I love you and I can't watch you hurt yourself anymore.
Correct. And I think just at this point, at least with Hawk's relationship with Meryl, it's too soon to do that kind of thing.
I agree.
And but it's something that I am like conscious of as I make this step.
I would like to ask you a question, and if you feel uncomfortable talking about it, we can just cut it from the show.
Okay.
Did you ever feel, back when you drank more regularly, did you ever feel like you potentially were developing a problem?
Yes.
You did?
Uh-huh.
Was it while we were together or?
No, after, way after.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I never really saw that in you.
Mm-hmm.
And I know like after we broke up, we didn't see each other as much because, you know, distance. I also had a moment where I thought I was developing a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that was during our relationship, but not because of our relationship.
Okay.
I would drink to excess because I knew that I would get sick afterwards, and I felt like I deserved that. And when I finally realized that that's what I was doing, that's when it dawned on me that I was developing a problem.
For me, it was I was doing it to escape the situation I was in or to escape what I was feeling in that moment, which is not abnormal on some level to do that. But I was doing it to the point where I was getting sick. I mean, ultimately also, like, it's a couple of things. Like, I was conscious that I was developing this problem, but I don't think that's what ultimately got me to stop. What ultimately got me to stop is that my stomach just got so bad that any kind of alcohol at all made me sick. Like, I could have a shot of something and I would get violently ill, like I drank to excess, which was awful.
Your stomach had an intervention for you.
Basically.
I'm sorry. That's kind of funny that your stomach was like, no more.
I mean, basically, like, I would start to try and find workarounds of like, well, if I drank this kind of liquor, maybe it didn't bother me as much. Because I hung out at a bar and I had a lot of friends who did like to drink. And so I tried to find ways to make it work. But when even those things stopped working and I would literally get violently ill from one shot of whiskey, I was like, okay, this is a problem. I need to stop. But I also, when I would drink, I would get so sick from it and still choose to engage with it. I knew there was a problem, right? Like it was on multiple levels. I think broadly, I probably stopped drinking because I have stomach issues, but psychologically, there was also a part of me that was like, well, if I continue to engage with this, knowing it's basically poisoning myself, what does that say about me? Like, there was a lot to it. It was more complicated, I think, than just, oh, I have tummy issues, so I stopped drinking. There was definitely a psychological component, a want to escape that engaging with it caused. That wasn't great either. And it can be multiple things. And I've been sober for quite some time now.
Yeah, you have been.
But I also, like, it's funny because of the way it kind of just tapered out of my life. Like, I say I've been sober for 10 years because I know the last time I drank quite regularly was around when I got married.
Yeah.
So I think I've been alcohol free for about 10 years, but I don't, because of how I went about it, and it kind of tapered off, and it felt like mostly a health issue thing, even though there was a psychological component. I didn't like timestamp, date stamp. This is the day I quit, you know?
Yeah. It's not like every day that you go without a drink is a celebration for you.
Right. Although it still wasn't easy, and it still continues to not be easy. But like, it definitely was because of how I went about it. It just didn't. It didn't attach like detail wise in the same way.
Okay, I understand that. I do still drink, but I definitely do not drink the same way I used to.
Mm-hmm.
I am very sparing with it now. Like maybe one night in every 6 months, I'll be out at a bar and maybe drink a little bit more than usual. But even then, I'm very like, I take a minute to assess how I feel before I think about any more drinks. Like,
right.
I really check in with myself constantly, and I make sure I'm always drinking water. And if I start to feel like anxious or upset, I'm like, this is the time for me to stop. And it's also the time for me to leave, because if I stay, things could get worse. So like, I have really taken steps to like learn about myself and my reactions to things and how things make me feel. The reason why I just wanted to like talk about this is because addiction is very hard for everyone. And I think your comparison of blood magic to addiction is very accurate and valid. Like, I would be willing to abandon my weapon analogy for your addiction analogy, because I feel like blood magic is something that maybe you try once and maybe you decide, you know what, not for me. Or maybe you get very hooked into it. And the way Meryl talks about it, I feel like is the way addicts talk about their addictions.
Yeah, it can be. I think also, again, when we're talking about specifically alcohol, because it's what I have the most experience with.
Yeah.
The alcohol exists in a very gray area in our society. I speak to the American
it's an acceptable
society.
Drug.
Correct. And so that's why I equate it to that, because like, in some circles, it's absolutely unacceptable, right? You know, people think it's bad, full stop. And then in other places, it's less so. And so I think there's you know, or even weed before it got legalized in a lot of places also kind of operated in the same gray area. And so I think it's a lot of that, you know, and there, for weed specifically, there's been a lot of arguments against addiction for it, that it's not an addictive drug, that it is something that's just helpful. And I think it can be both. But either way, I think the reason I wanted to equate blood magic to this is because it operates in a gray area in this world that often the blood mages we encounter are seemingly not great people also, but then there are those who are desperate, who just want an escape or an out or need help.
Yeah, which is why a lot of people do turn to various addictions, because they want an escape, because they are trying to find something in themselves. And I think that anyone who has the strength to get sober, to ask for help, is an amazing person. And friends out there who struggle with your sobriety, we are so proud of you. I hope you know that. And if you're ever struggling and you need someone to talk to, and like you just don't feel safe in your head, please come to our Discord, reach out to the Reignite community, because we all, Matt and I personally, we want you to carry on and survive to the next day. And if being able to talk to us helps you do that, we want that.
Absolutely.
So we got really serious there. I think this is our very special episode.
I guess so. I mean, I feel like we've gone here before, but this is, you know, Frankie and I are quick to make jokes, but we do take a lot of this stuff very seriously, and we take this conversation seriously, I think, because like that's the quote unquote fun with this, you know, fun using the term loosely. It's not always fun to talk about addiction or any of these other kinds of topics, but I think like that's the point of this show. We've always tried to dive deep or compare things to other things to like have a conversation about them. Yes, some may say we're overanalyzing, but I think that's oversimplifying. But either way, to bring it back to the conversation,
I think saying that we overanalyze things is like, I'm sorry, did you not read the mission statement of our show?
Right, exactly. It's like you know, if you want to,
like that's literally the point.
Yeah, let's make decisions as if we were these characters. If you don't want to hear that conversation, why are you here? Kind of a thing, for sure.
After that,
yes.
We can return to Meryl's house to have a questioning beliefs conversation, but I don't think she is questioning her beliefs.
No.
I think she is very firm in her beliefs. Sitting in front of the mirror, surprised that a human would help restore Dalish history, and I'm like, that's what that is. That's definitely what I'm doing.
Yeah, I couldn't help but take this moment when she was like, I can't believe you would help me to go to do a little flirty flirt with Meryl in this moment. Just, it kind of felt right. Mm-hmm. And I kind of just envision Anders standing behind me shaking his head like a disapproving parent, but honestly, that makes it better.
The Meryl romance is very sweet.
She's very sweet, and like for part of me, it's like she's seeking comfort in this moment. She's grateful to have us support her, and I'm happy to support. Right, like I want to be there for my friend, even if I think they are about to make a series of poor choices.
Yeah, I returned to my house afterwards, and a scene happened.
Oh, I did not return to my house. I saved literally in Meryl's house. So
okay.
I'm in Meryl's house for eternity until I turn the game back on.
Okay. Would you rather I put off discussing my scene until we see if you have a similar one next time?
I don't think I will, but you might as well talk about yours.
I had to remember. 2 things happen, actually.
Oh, really?
So first, Isabella came by. And she's complaining about where I live, and she's like, the old place had more charm. I'm like, you mean the shack that I lived in with 3 other people? And she's like, no, Lowtown. I'm like, well, yeah, obviously. Like, Hightown is very sanitized. But, like, I would like to not live in a shack with 3 other people. Thank you.
Yeah, legit.
Like, look, money doesn't buy happiness, but it does buy my own bathroom, which is close enough. It's close enough. Conversation with Isabella veers a little flirty. She's like, we should hang out, do girl things. And I'm like shopping? And she's like, no. And I say that I don't think it's a good idea because I just don't think Isabella and I are a good match. Much like with PB, who feels very flippant and immature.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, this scene happened before I started the mission because I popped back to the house to like just do some inventory management stuff. And that's when the Isabella scene happened. I think maybe if this scene happened after Meryl's mission, where I had seen her comfort Meryl and I saw that like glimpse of a softer side, then I might have said yes.
Right.
But as it stood, I said no. And Isabella was like, that's fine. I'll find someone else to play with. Which also, like, just, like, made me
justified
feel
your choice.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's fair. You should find someone else to play with. I don't think that I'm good for playing right now. Which is funny because I am, personally, Frankie, your friend, I am pretty good with casual sex these days. Like, I manage my emotions very well. But also, I think there are some friends that I just can't fuck with. Literally and figuratively.
That's fair. I get that.
You know, and I feel like Isabella is one of those. Like, you're also, like, really into casual sex, but I'm not sure if you are, like, as in touch with your emotions as you should be in order to do this safely.
Right. Yeah.
So that is how I feel about Isabella. So Isabella comes and goes. And it cuts to my Hawk studying the fire, and Anders comes to visit. Anders explains that Justice does not approve of his obsession with Hawk, and Justice sees Hawk as a distraction. And then it's Anders' like love confession. You know, he says love was only a game because it gave the Templars like too much power over us. Because if we have something that we can't bear to lose, then it gives them something that they can use against us, which absolutely fair. And, you know, we kind of see more into the world of mages because, you know, he talks about no mage that I know has ever, like, dared to fall in love because you can't have it. You can't have it and be happy. So, fade to black. Morning after I love yous. Anders says that Hawk should have a normal life. And when I respond with, like, I don't want a normal life, like, I want you in my life, he kind of challenges that and is like, would you let me, like, move in with you? Would you, like, stand against Knight Commander Meredith and tell her that you love a mage? And, like, would you go to war over this? And I'm like, yes, I would.
Yeah.
Like, my mother did it. I'm just following the family tradition. Like, because that's what Leandra did. Leandra decided to love an apostate, and she sacrificed all of her nobility for it.
Yeah.
And she was happy when, like, the whole family was together and alive and poor, but she was happy about that because we were all together and taking care of each other. And since Hawk the Elder died, you know, everything has been going downhill, and Leandra is so beaten down now that the only comfort is that she has this renewed connection to the family that she thought disapproved of her and disowned her. I think that, you know, for a person that I love, yeah, I would absolutely go to war.
Yeah.
And Anders is extremely intense, which works for me because I'm really intense when I know what I want. I want what I want when I want it.
I mean, it's good to know those things.
Yes. No waiting. I don't see a point in waiting when I know, like, what I want.
Oh, that's totally legit.
So, and that is the conclusion of my Hawks day. Moving on.
Before we get into what we're doing next time, and I'd say a brief fandom corner, as this has already been a pretty long episode. I just want to shout out. I want to shout out some fan mail. First, Kaz just had some kind words. I'm a simple man. I get name dropped. The episode automatically jumps to one of my favorites ever. Also, yet another great conversation that I think the two of you were exactly the right people to discuss. This game in particular, I think, is the one in the series where your perspectives are essential in driving into social commentary of DA2 Presents. Tremendous job, as always. So thank you, Kaz. Appreciate the kind words. Nice to know folks still enjoy this nonsense.
We love you, Kaz.
Also, for the first time ever, we have a voice note from the incredible Callie. So I will not be reading Callie's words here. You'll be able to listen to them now.
Greetings, everyone. This is Callie. Here are some thoughts on episode 22 and Descent. Appreciate the skepticism about the ostensible purpose of tranquility. Any claim that something harmful is for someone's own good is always extremely questionable. I actually am kind of insulted that Anders did not bring me in on the Mage Underground. That lack of trust hurts. Does he think just because I was lucky enough to have never been imprisoned in a circle that I am not committed? Regarding the use of the word girl, infantilizing of an adult woman would fit the lobotomy and queerness or neurodivergence allegory. Either way, feeling a need to acknowledge that this is a man in a position of religious authority implied to be abusing people in a way that actual men in such positions have done to many actual young people, but am not able to speak on how well or badly the game handled it. After the fight, Anders demonstrates one of the reasons letting righteous anger become hate is so dangerous. It can make us see enemies in the wrong places, even turn us against the people we should be trying to help. Not only can that lead to harming those we should protect, but taking our focus off our real enemies gives them an advantage over us. Both the Grand Cleric and Cullen have things to say about the Tranquil solution, none of it reassuring. The way the wrap-up conversation branches is annoying. The option to show Anders the papers remains available if not immediately taken. Chose to rebuke him for nearly killing that woman, encourage him to be more careful but not give up on the fight, then gave the papers at the end. The way the questioning beliefs conversation branches is also a little annoying, with flirting and discussing revolution being mutually exclusive. Chose serious talk over flirting this time. If Anders could achieve better control of himself, would be a good fit for me, but the recent incident has me very concerned, both for him and about what mistakes he might make. Anger is justified and correct, but hatred is dangerous. For my emotional safety, need to maintain some distance in case that hate consumes him. Lastly, Meryl and Anders have some good party banter after this quest. Recommend walking around with them for a bit. As always, many thanks to Frankie and Matt for taking the time and effort to make Reignite. And remember, what we fight for is more important than who we must fight against. But, indeed, all Templars are bastards.
So, Callie, thank you for that. Thank you for also submitting it in text in the Discord as well. Having both options available is fun. And as always, we appreciate your insight on this mission, this coming mission, because we mentioned at the end what we're doing next, the previous mission, everything with Descent. And it's just, you're always really insightful and thoughtful, and we love having these conversations with you. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, Callie. And if you would like to have your thoughts heard on our show, you can go ahead and send us your own voice memo to reignitepod@gmail.com.
Yes. Or you can slide into my DMs and just send them directly, which is okay too.
That's
on Discord. Fine. Yes.
But if you don't know where to find Matt's DMs, then you can email us.
A pretty safe bet that if you Google DJ Stormageddon just about anywhere, you will likely find me. But
don't Google me.
Yeah, don't perceive me.
It's more that if you do Google me, a black hole will open in place of your computer and suck you in. I don't know. It's a weird glitch, and Google hasn't fixed it yet.
That's true, yeah. And Google only gets worse. I mean, just look at their AI garbage that spits out inaccurate stuff. Now they want you to use Gemini in your emails, and I want to throw my computer out the window.
God.
Anyway, do we want to skip Fandom Corner this episode, or do you want to quickly chat about
I want to talk about Blueprints and how angry I am at it right now.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, first of all, when I started Blueprints, I was struggling with it because I couldn't see what the mystery was right away. Okay. And I couldn't make sense of what I was supposed to be doing. And that frustrated me a lot. Mm-hmm. But after talking with one of our friends, Troidel, shout out to Troidel Power, he gave me a hint, like a very gentle hint that like really helped me get stuck into the game. And since then, I have been having a really great time sitting with one of my really good friends on the couch, just going through the game, catching like little mysteries and just spitballing what these things could mean and how these things could connect and taking notes as I go. And it is very involved and very in-depth, and it is a really fun thing to do. However, I'm up to a part where there are 45 distinct puzzles that need to be solved in order for me to progress, and I am very angry about it.
Okay.
Because they're the worst puzzle, and I hate doing them.
Okay.
So
that sounds very hard.
I just want to yell about that. But if you like puzzles, if you like mystery, if you have feelings about governments with strong censorship laws, then you should play Blueprints, because everything I touch has something to do with my thesis.
Basically.
Yeah. About that.
Blueprints has been on my short list for a while. I'll probably get to it eventually. I'm at that point now with Blueprints, like the Outer Wilds before it, where the hype is so large for it that I'm afraid I'm going to be the one weirdo who doesn't like the game.
I mean, it's totally fair if you don't. I mean, it's very much geared to people who love puzzles.
But I love puzzles, so
yeah. So I think you will.
I mean, but what if I don't? Then I'm a fraud.
You're not a fraud.
See how this goes. See how this goes.
Like I said, I think you'll have more fun with it if like you are hanging out with Sarah and Sarah is like also pitching in ideas, because it helps to say things out loud.
Right.
Or maybe playing it on a stream and letting people like interact with you while you play it.
That could be it. Yeah. A part of the problem is my only way to play it right now is on PC Game Pass, and Sarah and I don't huddle around my computer much. Like if I had it on PlayStation, then yes, there's a chance that we could work through it. But I don't know. It might be worth the game I'm about to talk about has kind of reinvigorated Sarah's love of video games. So this might be a nice.
This is on my list too. So go ahead, let her rip.
So as of last week, I finished Clair Obscura Expedition 33, a new turn-based RPG from a new French studio called Sandfall Entertainment. The studio head is a former Ubisoft person, and then I think a few other folks there came from Ubisoft, but mostly it's a small new studio. And this is a large-scale turn-based RPG that takes place in this like alternative French city called Lumiere. And the basic premise of the game is every year there's a countdown clock on a giant monolith, and every time the number goes down, everyone of that age disappears. They die, basically.
Interesting.
And you play as a character setting out on an expedition. Every year that this happens, the next people on that timer of that next age go out on an expedition to try and stop the paintress who makes this happen. You don't know why it happens. You just know that it does. And the game opens with this. This isn't really a spoiler. This is like within the first hour and is in the trailers. Yeah. I won't say much more than that. All I can say is that this is not only one of the best RPGs I've ever played, but it might be one of the best video game narratives I've ever experienced. The prologue of the game takes about 2 hours, maybe 3 if you're casual about it. And it's the strongest prologue I've ever experienced in storytelling, full stop. And I can say that with a lot of confidence. So I really recommend it. The combat is also really intricate. There's timed hits. There's dodging and parrying.
I'll hate that
system. But there's also difficulty settings. The dodging is more graceful than the parrying. You can dodge more easily. You can get abilities that boost when you don't dodge, all this kind of stuff. I think it's really one of the most intricate and unique combat systems I've ever experienced in a video game. But the thing I wanted to speak to that, Frankie, because I know sometimes you bristle against certain difficulties in RPGs. Sarah doesn't play a ton of video games, but saw me playing the opening of this, basically watched the entire prologue with me and went, I want to play this. And has since now also finished the game. We've talked about it a bunch. And like, this is Sarah's first turn-based RPG basically ever, which is kind of awesome because now I have a whole history of games that I've grown up with that I can recommend based on that. But also it was just really fun to watch someone who has struggled with dual analog control, has struggled with complicated gaming mechanics, to really get it and understand it. At one point when I was away at PAX East, I called to check in, say hi, and she's like, yeah, I'm really struggling. I had to grind for a while to like beat this boss and, work on my stats and like talking in RPG jargon, which is a thing that Sarah and I have never done together. So it was
Amazing.
fun to see her get hyped about a video game in a way that I did. And a lot of what drove that was the narrative, which is what brings Sarah to a lot of the video games that she's loved. And so that alone also makes me want to push it to you, Frankie, because I know you like strong narratives. I know how much you like RPGs. You've played a ton of them. Like, I think, and like, I want to tell you why I want you to play it, but I can't actually tell you about that until you've started it.
Don't worry about it. John has been talking about like just how much that they love it. So like, it is definitely on my list. Cool. As soon as I either beat Blueprints or this game drives me insane and I just walk away, which is possible.
And it's on it's on Game Pass, so you can just play it. So
I love when things are on Game Pass.
Yeah. No, I really love this game, and it's in my pantheon of top RPGs. It just does some really, and for you who's also a fellow music nerd, it has one of the best video game soundtracks ever. It's 8 hours long. Like, they made individual battle tracks for different areas instead of using the same battle theme for every area. Like, it's just
Skies of Arcadia did that.
Yeah. It's very well done. I think you're really going to enjoy it, and there's feels to be had, and I know how much you like being in your feelings. So
I do love feelings. Speaking of music, Blueprints also has a really gentle audio landscape. So the music is very soothing and very good for puzzle solving. I think you will find it very relaxing. Yeah,
it's on my short list. I have to replay some stuff for upcoming podcast things. Yeah. But Blueprints is definitely on my list, but awesome. Well, if anyone here has tried either of those games, please let us know. Or if any of our past suggestions have encouraged you to play things or check out movies, TV shows, any of that, please let us know. This has been a fun pivot for Fandom Corner. Don't worry, we will still shill capitalism at you for cool fan stuff, but as we find it. Our next episode is going to be Family Matters, which is Varric's companion quest. So chest hair bound as we talk to our favorite dwarf and move into that mission next. So play that before the next episode.
All right. If you like what you heard here, you can follow us on social media. We're Reignite Pod on Blue Sky, YouTube, Instagram, or you can send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. Matt and I are also online. You can find us on Blue Sky as Frankie B. Writes and DJ Stormageddon.
Please rate and review the podcast and subscribe wherever you listen to other podcasts. You obviously are subscribed, likely if you're here, but if you're not, if you found this in the ether because a friend recommended it in the middle of a season, it'd be very odd. But either way, if you've enjoyed what you heard here and this is your first time, please give us a subscribe. But otherwise, rate and review on your podcatcher of choice. It really helps folks find this podcast. So when they search for Mirror Image, they don't find a weird D&D podcast about D&D spells. They find this podcast about this mission. Had a connection. Anyway.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't.
You know that we're members of the Certain Point of View Network, so go on and visit certainpov.com to find more nerdy podcasts, each with a unique point of view. You can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord server on that website. So come on in and join the conversation.
Yeah, the Discord continues to be really active, and I'm grateful for the regular chatters over there. It's fun to talk about the games we're playing, comics we're reading, the TV shows we're engaging with. There's been a fun brief conversation about the most recent episode of Doctor Who. The finale just aired, and people not saying things, and I love when that happens. It's just very fun. As for personal plugs, I'm still doing my usual stuff. You can go to funandgamespod.com to check out the Fun and Games podcast. Yeah, we have a .com now. We're all official. But of course, you can find everything that I do at djstormageddon.com. It includes links to this show, obviously, and Fun and Games, as well as the Fun and Games Patreon, my merch store, I believe our Discord server, and a bunch of other things. So you can go check that out. I have nothing specific to promote. As of when we're recording now, our most recent episode was our PAX East coverage. So if you weren't able to make it to PAX East this year in Boston, we, as usual, chatted about what we played and then had some really great dev interviews. And as of now, because now this is being recorded after embargo, Jeff, Sarah, and I got hands-on experience with Dragon Quest 1 and 2 2D HD Remake, which pretty big deal for us and was really awesome. Got to chat with the PR folks, got to get hands-on with this game that comes out in October. And yeah, it's just fun to get more access to stuff like that and bring cool gaming shit to y'all as we do. So thanks for your support. It means the world. Frankie, what do you have going on?
Okay, so I have been published in 2 anthologies.
Gasp.
I know. One is a tribute to a man who made publication possible for writers all across Northern Ireland. His name is Stephen Cott. I never got the opportunity to meet him, but his legacy is why I am now in both of my anthologies. He unfortunately passed within the last year. He had heart issues and was on the transplant list for a really long time. And when he finally did get his transplant, there were complications. And unfortunately, he did not survive. So in tribute to Stephen Cott, Writing from the Heart, edited by Jay Jenkins and Robbie Taylor. No, weirdly enough, not that Robbie Taylor. Is available along with the anthology Caught a Light, edited by Mary Farrell. You can find them from your favorite corporate overlords at Amazon.com. Just so you know, I get no money if you purchase either. So if you want to kick me a dollar, you can do that through PayPal at Frankie B. Writes.
I think I've forgotten to mention it, but I should bring it up here. I also have been printed in a book recently.
Yes!
The SNES maps by Retro, I think it's Retro Game Books. The awesome Brian Rigsby puts together these compilations of video game maps, did an NES series and did an SNES series. I'm in volume 2, and I will be in volume 3, because when we first started working together, there was no volume 3. Both of mine were going to be in volume 2. But I got to write about The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, on Super Nintendo, talk about why it was important to me. This is the first time I've been published in a book, which is a really cool thing. And so if you want to go check that out, please do. I have already been asked to be a part of other works. I won't specify what, but with Brian and with this publishing company. And so I'm excited to be published in more things writing about video games that I love. So you should definitely go check that out.
Okay, but also check out the anthologies that I was published in, because this was my time, Matt.
Okay, you know what?
Matt, I don't like your sass. It's my
time! I won't deal with your sass. I won't stand for it.
But yeah, if you would like to support us as writers, please check out the things that we've been published in. Again, those titles were...
SNES Maps?
No, not yours. Mine. Dummy. Again, those titles were Writing from the Heart and Caught a Light, and Matt's were SNES Maps, volumes 2 and 3.
SNES Maps. Volume 3 is not out yet, but volume 2.
I said SNES Maps.
You said SENES Maps. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're tired. I need to go to bed.
Yeah, I do too. Okay. It's your turn.
It is my turn. We, of course, would like to thank the one and only Case Aiken for developing amazing, cool t-shirts that you can buy at certainpov.com or on the Certain POV Teespring, as well as designing each episode's individual episode art. We appreciate you, Case. Thank you.
We also get no money if you buy those.
The t-shirts, that's true.
It's more that, you know, we love you guys and we want you to have shirts, so they're priced at cost, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Okay. And we'd like to thank Miracle of Sound for our theme music. It is not new any longer. I should take that out of the script. But thank you, Miracle of Sound. We love our theme song. You guys are great. You guy are great. It's one person, isn't it?
It is one person.
Yeah. Leave me alone.
This is the most unhinged sign-off we've had in a while. We also want to thank the one and only Red Spinks for designing our Dragon Age inspired logo. To see more of his work, you can go to Chaos Does Art on Instagram.
I actually found out that Red Spinks is not one and only. There's actually 2 Red Spinks! Plot twist.
What? Crazy.
Red Spinks was cloned.
Uh-oh. That means double the art.
Red Spinks wishes that he was cloned, so that way he could make double the art.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Anyway, we'd like to thank you for listening, especially if you have listened through this outro.
And provided I was able to edit it somewhat reasonably, it's probably still a mess.
I'm Frankie.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And remember, all Templars are bastards. I don't know the name of the Templar that tortured that Dalish elf, but she is especially a bastard.
It's true.
Fight for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk. Hawk, 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 Hawk.
Video games are a unique medium.
They can tell stories,
immerse us in strange, fantastic worlds,
blur the very boundaries of our reality.
But at the end of the day, video games are fun, whatever fun is to you.
I'm Jeff Moonen.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And on Fun and Games, we talk about the history, trends, and community of video games.
It's a celebration of all the games we play and all the fun we find within them.
And there's so many more games out there. So we hope you'll share in that conversation with us.
Fun and Games podcast with Matt and Jeff. Find us on certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
And happy gaming.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.